In our national lead, a new version of what might have happened to the magic bullet that was key to the official story of the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, according to the Warren Commission report. This is in a new book called The Final Witness. A Kennedy Secret Service agent breaks his silence after 60 years. The book is by one-time Secret Service agent Paul Landis, who was then in his late 20s and provided security for the First Lady, Jacqueline Kennedy. Now, Landis's book is adding to the controversy over what has been called the magic bullet theory, a reference to the Warren Commission's conclusion that before the fatal shot hit Kennedy in the head, a single bullet, recovered almost intact, passed through Kennedy's throat and continued on to seriously wound Texas Governor John Connally in the seat in front of Kennedy. Landis was in the car directly behind President Kennedy's limousine on November 22, 1963. He heard the shots and he saw with his own eyes much of what happened. Landis filed reports and continued working in the security detail for Mrs. Kennedy, but he left the Secret Service less than a year after the assassination, and he never mentioned then his own moment with that single intact bullet until he says he found out the Warren Commission report did not match his memory. Landis writes, quote, "The super bullet hadn't been on Governor Connally's stretcher in trauma room number 2. I recognized it as the bullet I had found in the limo and placed next to President Kennedy's feet in trauma room number 1. You write that you saw 2 bullet fragments sitting in a pool of blood. You picked one up and you put it back. Then you say you found an intact bullet in the seat, and you write, quote, "It was a completely intact bullet. It had been hidden behind Mrs. Kennedy all the time she was seated. No wonder I hadn't seen it sooner. I picked it up and quickly examined it. It was approximately 2 inches long and in almost perfect condition. It was not distorted in any way and had rifle striations running lengthwise along the sides. Man, oh man, I thought, what should I do?" And you write that you put it in your pocket. Why'd you put it in your pocket?
Well, I started to put it back, and then I hesitated for a moment because I had looked around when I had been scanning the back area. I saw no Secret Service agents there to secure the car, and we were getting ready to exit the limo, and I didn't want to leave the bullet there because I was afraid people were starting to converge towards the car. I thought a souvenir hunter, somebody might see that. I didn't want to have the press be taking pictures or doing anything like that.
And then you write that you put the bullet on the stainless steel examination table where President Kennedy was being treated. The examination table is not the same thing as the gurney used to bring Kennedy from the limousine into the hospital. Exactly where did you put the bullet, and why did you put it there?
Well, with the crowd, I got just pushed into that room. I was right behind Mrs. Kennedy. When we were entering the room, I stepped behind her to keep her from getting pushed. And the crowd, she stepped to the side, to the left, just inside the doorway when we entered the trauma room. People were pushing and shoving, and I just got shoved right up against the examination table. And it just so happened I was right there next to the president's feet. People were coming in. It was chaos. And at that moment, I thought, well, this is the perfect place to leave the bullet. It should be with the president's body. It's an important piece of evidence. And this was the opportunity to leave it.